So miskien het jy van die huis af gewerk die afgelope ruk en jy het natuurlik nie besef wat jy ligtyd gebruik en dat jy op die einde van die dag miskien papier en ink en alles wat jy gebruik wat jy gewoonlik by die werk sou gebruik dan nou gaan nodig hê nie. But now we're going to find out if you can maybe claim back for some of the office essentials that you used at home during the lockdown period. And on the line, I've got attorney at Tax Consulting SA, Darren Britz. Darren, so how are you doing this evening?
Yeah, I'm very well and yourself, Cyril. Thanks for having me back.
That's a big pleasure. So, for the guys working from home, maybe still working from home, I know they are using certain things that they never thought they would use. And can they claim back for that? Looking at taxes, will people actually be able to claim back for that?
Yeah, unfortunately, Cyril, it's not possible, You can't just say you're from home and you're incurring some expense. Can I claim them back? Remember, home office expenses, what we mean is that your rent and your rates and taxes and those kinds of expenses you're trying to claim on your tax return, So we're not talking about your pure business expenses, maybe stationery and things like that. That you can claim back. But your home office expenses like your rental and that, or your bond interest costs, unfortunately you have to apply the strict tests in our law to be able to see if you can claim that,
So what's the most important test?
I suppose the most important test is you have to maintain a true home office at your house. So what that means is you can't be using your living room or your dining room space, partly for work and partly for your dinner, or perhaps you've got an extra room in the house using for your kids to play in and using it for your work. That's not enough, unfortunately. You need to maintain a home office. So that's a room in your home that's used exclusively for work.
Okay.
And you also have to use that home office regularly. So you've got to be using it every week or as often as you can. And you've got to have your tools in there, your computer, your desk, whatever it is you need for your job. You can't just be working from home, if that makes sense.
All right. So, now I've understand it a little bit better. But the thing is, how do you prove that to SARS? Let's say you now dedicated a specific spot. How will they know what I use it for and how I use it?
Yeah, and honestly, that's one of the most difficult parts of this whole test, Cyril. It's exactly that, SARS aren't going to come to everyone's home and have an inspection of their office, although it has happened in the past. We've seen some of our clients who they've been asked to send photos of their home office, especially when you're trying to claim a big space in your home. And then SARS are definitely interested and want to see why is your space so much bigger than everybody else's, The way we do it is you make that home office part of your employment agreement. So you should actually agree with your employer that, look, let's agree I need to work from home 3 days a week. Let's put it on contract or in writing. And you make it an obligation or a requirement of my job. So if SARS asks, why do you maintain an office, you can say, look, my employer forces me to do this. It's part of my employment. And SARS will generally accept that,
All right. So I think, because I do believe that because of the lockdown and due to the lockdown and people working remotely, I sort of foresee that a lot of guys are going to start working from home because it's definitely going to cut some expenses for the employers. So I don't know. That's just maybe for the future. Who knows what is going to happen? But would like to find out from you, just looking at the home office expenses, as you explained, what are the two different options that are currently available to employees and then also to the employers?
Okay, so the first test, as we said earlier, all employees must maintain that exclusive home office. Okay, so that applies to all your employees. But in terms of the two options, what we mean by that is there's two payment structures you can agree with your employee. So we can agree that more than 50% of what I pay you will be commission. So that works for your salesmen and guys like that. And if we agree on that payment structure, you only need to spend 2 days a week at your home office. Your other 3 days you can spend at the employer's office, you can spend it on the road, anywhere you choose. The second option is more your regular employee. So a guy that's not really earning much commission, or rather less than 50% commission. With those guys, you need to specifically agree that they will be at their home office at least 3 days a week. So the majority of their work days is spent at their home office, not at their employer's office. But other than that, it's quite flexible. You can agree very easily to have a portion of your time at your home office, a portion at work. As long as you are maintaining a true home office at home, that's critical.
It sounds quite a lot like us. I mean, as DJs, a lot of the work gets done at home, and then we come in and we use the office space to then broadcast as well. So being independent contractors, what sort of stuff do we need to keep in mind when claiming home office tax deduction?
Yes. So independent contractors are a little bit different. Their tests aren't as strict. And, you can claim a lot more of your expenses because you're conducting a trade, other than an employment trade. But I suppose the first most important thing is that you need to prove those expenses still to SARS, A lot of guys still think that you can just make a list and kind of submit it. And that's not the case. You need to prove that these expenses you've incurred is because of your job and that you've actually paid for those expenses. So, part of that, you need to keep a list of those expenses and you need to keep your supporting documentation. So, for example, if you've got bank statements which show you've made payments, or perhaps you've got invoices, if you've got supplies, etc., you're paying, your proofs of payment, whatever you can to support your case that you actually have incurred these expenses. And then, of course, the most important of all, as we discussed, is maintaining that home office in the true sense,
All right. It's attorney at Tax Consulting SA, Darren Britz, that took time to speak to us about the home office expenses that you can claim for and those that you can't claim for, and also explained how it exactly works. So thank you so much for taking time, as always, and hopefully we'll be catching up with you soon enough.
Yeah, I hope so. Thanks, Saran.